Hello, I'm Holly, and I want to share with you today a concept that is just so key. It's deceptively simple, but it is central to so much transformation. A few years ago, there was somebody that asked me, okay, imagine this. You are on your deathbed. You have hours left in this life, and your loved ones are gathered around you, and you really want to share these pearls of wisdom that you've gleaned through this whole life, but you can only do it in 2 words. What are those 2 words that you share with your loved ones that will be so valuable, that will help them in their journey? And I was blown away by the question. I thought, 2 words, that's impossible. But what I came to was know thyself. I mean, that encapsulates everything. And so in the 6th century BC, there were these group of philosophers and statesmen known as the 7 sages. And one of them went to the Oracle of Delphi and he said, what is it that is most valuable for us to learn? And the answer that came back from the Oracle, who, at the time streams wisdom from Apollo, was know thyself. And that is inscribed on the temple of Apollo in ancient Greece. It's one of 3 maxims that are prominently displayed in this ancient temple, right? And so apparently in the 4th century BC, Plato comes along and he sees that people are using this maxim to say, know your limits, don't overstep your status, know your place, sort of don't think you're too big for your britches kind of concept. And he said, no. He said, know thyself is all about know your soul. And that's been the heart of this transformation for me. My whole life up until almost the age of 50, I was an overachiever, type A, perfectionist in the corporate world, trying to be the best person, the most successful person, the best leader I could be. If you had asked me in the height of my corporate executive days, when I was a lawyer leading the legal team, do you know who you are? I was like, of course I know who I am. I'm confident, I'm capable, I'm knowledgeable, I'm resourceful, all those things. But it wasn't until my whole life spun upside down and everything that I knew myself to be sort of fell away, and I didn't know who I was at all, because the who I was, who I knew myself to be, was really my coat of armor that I was wearing to survive, to move ahead in the world, to make my way, being everything that I thought I needed to be, that the world expected me to be, that my family expected me to be, that my employees and my employer expected me to be. And it wasn't the true me, but I had no idea. I really thought this is who I am. But it was a construct. It was an artificial skin. But then when that all came unraveled, it was like my soul was breaking out of this prison cell and saying, stop putting yourself in a straitjacket. Stop walking around in a suit of armor. That's not what life is, And so it upended me. It flipped upside down and inside out everything that I thought. And so that journey has been this deep dive into the abyss of the unknown, into the depths of myself, to say, who am I? And when I found, who I truly am, it was entirely different than I thought. I was leading from a much more masculine, dominant, I'll take care of everything, I'll fix all the problems, I'll make my way. But what I found deep inside was this deep well of this feminine that I didn't even know existed. So I think that's what we do, is these parts of us that are our soul essence, our core being, are the most tender, most vulnerable parts of ourselves, that we're afraid to show the world because we're afraid that they'll get trampled on. They're so precious. And so we layer them deep, buried within our layers of emotional barriers, survival mechanisms, conditioned programming, all the layers of who we think we need to be. And I had buried mine so deeply I didn't even know it existed. And I think that's the case for most of us. We come in and we forget and we bury our knowledge of our true selves. And then we're out there searching, trying to connect, trying to find something of meaning, trying to find something of value, trying to overcome our weaknesses, right? trying to become something, but it's because we've forgotten how to connect to that authentic, essential self that's at the core of our being. And we have all these amazing blueprints and roadmaps and lenses that we've left for ourselves in the name of, astrology, birth charts, human design, if you've heard of that, gene keys, if you've heard of that. Even things that most people know about, strengths finders, Myers-Briggs, Kiersey-Bates, all of these lenses and these profiles that are out there to help us understand, who am I? I want to know this being that is me, because we don't retain that, it seems, in this life. And so I feel like in some ways that's the whole game, that we came here into this life to experience what it's like to completely forget the multidimensionality of who we are, the tremendous power that we have, that we're connected to in all life, the gifts that we have, who we truly are. And then the game is to remember who we truly are, and not only remember, but embody that, live as that soul multidimensional being in this physical body, in this physical reality. And so we've left these little treasure maps for ourselves. And I love to dive into these things with my clients, with any course or group offering that I provide. That's one of the first places I go, because it's so important to see, because we're all wired so differently. The world tells you that you need to conform to some convention, this is the way you do it. This is how you be a good leader. This is how you be a good person. These are all the things you need to do and be and become and overcome. And they're just bullshit. There is no one size fits all. Every journey that each of our souls has scripted for us is so unique. And it's by design that way, because it is in the grouping of the unique blueprints, the unique genius that we each bring to the table, that we get the whole big picture. This was one of the most valuable things that I found when I was working in my stationery boutiques that I owned for 12 years. I had 2 different boutiques with 2 crack teams that we did amazing things and won customer service awards. And at one point I had my team take this, it's called the Colby Index, that looks at your work styles. And it was so revealing, and we loved doing it because we learned so much about each other. And I was like, this is why this is such a dream team, is that each one of us brought something entirely different to the table. So rather than, a default way of a lot of business owners will go around saying, why don't you just be like me? Why don't you think like me? Why don't you act like me? That's the expectation. And if something isn't that, we judge it and we think, well, they must be lazy. They must not be smart. They're not seeing it the way I am, whatever those judgments are. But when we can embrace the unique differences that we each bring and realize that they aren't weaknesses, they are attributes that comprise a whole organism, it's really phenomenal. And then we can get curious and celebrate these differences and draw them out and make space for more of these unique gifts to come to the table, as opposed to the sea that most of us are swimming through of that's not okay, you can't be that, you be more like this, be less like that, trying to corral us into this narrow view of what a person or a leader or a life looks like. According to whom? It's so why do we care so much about this know thyself? 2 things that I see that are really important. One is, to know thyself is to love thyself. The more you get to know you, the more you see oh my gosh, I created this whole life for a very special purpose. I created this moment in time, this place on the planet that I came in to be born at this exact moment, that would ping with all these constellations, that would set up these energies, that would bring these different qualities to my being, to my personality, to my inner knowing of who I am. And I came in with this specific family of origin. I called in these different life experiences, because they all were leading to this thing that is moving me, that is moving through me. I call it your original intention. Why did you come here? Why did you incarnate as this being in this time, in this momentous time in the planet of our shift in civilization that's happening right now? There's a very special purpose that you're here. And so let's dive into these maps. Let's see what that is, because you left clues for yourself. in this game, this is a cheat that you get to use in those video games. You like go in a back door and take a shortcut. This is your shortcut to like, this is your purpose. This is the thing that you've been like looking for out there, when all along what you've really been calling yourself to do is go inward, look in here, look in the mirror. And then we can each hold up mirrors for each other. That's what I do with my coaching clients and say, let's dive in, because how I'll coach somebody that's one particular profile type in human design is very different. I would coach a manifestor entirely different than I would coach a generator, for example. So that's the first thing I say is like, if you've never even heard of human design, here, go get your free profile. Let's dive into it. And then let's together find this amazing treasure that you've buried for yourself, that you're ready to bring forward and fully live. This is what it means to be fulfilled, is like, you know who you are at the soul level, not the level of what the world tells you you need to be or you think you need to be to survive or protect yourself. Who are you truly? When you can dive into that and know that and own that and love that, your entire world, it just shifts around you. You walk through with a level of confidence and power and an inner compass that guides you, where you're not feeling like you're just being pushed around by like, no, go here, do this, no, go there, do that. Well, now this person tells you that, or that authority or that book tells you this. You just keep going deeper into who am I here to be? What am I here to experience? What am I here to contribute to the world from my own genius that is like no other? And that's so valuable. So that's how we come fully alive. That's how we come to fulfill this original intention and sing our soul song. This is why this is a very important first step in the 6-month Soul Song Sanctuary program that I just offered up. We start September 9th, and the first month is all about, let's go into those blueprints that you created for yourself. Let's really dive in and get to know you, not this is what a leader needs to be, so go be this. Like, what did you come here to be? What did you come here to contribute in this magical soup of life that brings the planet into a different place, that brings humanity into a different place? And really, there's less about what you need to do and how you need to be is the most important. Like, because the more you can be your true, authentic self and love that, you naturally and effortlessly just radiate that out there, and you see so clearly like, oh, this is mine to do. I don't need to worry about that over there. I don't need to judge someone for doing something else that I'm not inclined to do. I get to do this. This is what lights me up. This is what I'm here to do. And that's such a key component of becoming a regenerative leader. We create regenerative initiatives from wholeness. What does that mean? That means from my own authentic being, from what's mine to do, from what's mine to bring through for the world, not what someone else tells me to do or what I think I need to do. And that is the game changer. So I'm super excited. Let me know if you have any questions about this. Share any ways that you've come to know yourself that were a surprise, that were entirely different than you thought that you were operating as for so long. And what difference has that made in your life? Has that felt liberating? For me, it was like, letting go of a straitjacket, like the bird being released from the cage. It was like, oh, I get to breathe now. I get to be naturally and not try to overcome and compensate and dim down and try to stretch to become. It's like, oh, it's already here. So it's baked in, it's right there. And this is just a process of like uncovering it like an archaeologist excavating an ancient ruin site to find what's that golden buried treasure that's lying there, just waiting to be seen, waiting to be loved. All right, speak soon. Thanks so much.